The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
If you've ever held a newborn's fingers to form a guns up, you've come to the right place. The home for Texas Tech sports is right here on Double T 97.3.
Wow. Have you ever done that, Jamie?
Absolutely.
Held a newborn's hands to get them to be, to do the guns up.
Yeah, you forget I have two children.
No, I know. Yeah. I know you do. Do you have pictures?
I have formed them in my ways, Chuck.
Okay. Didn't know if you had pictures of that as well.
I don't know if I have pictures or not.
Okay. You're not a big picture taking guy, are you?
I am not.
Is anybody in your family, any the daughters or the missus or anybody?
I think we take enough.
Okay.
We take enough. I mean, we don't overdo it, but we take enough.
Would you say that? I would say probably my family would say that I overdo it. Okay, they would say that I overdo it, and people around here would probably say that I overdo it. But when somebody needs a picture of something, who do they come to? They come to me.
I'm going to guess you.
They come to me. Hey, do you have a picture of that? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do have a picture of that. When you were angry with me and didn't want to take that picture, but now you're happy that you have that picture? Yeah, I've got that picture.
I would think that every Red Raider out there has probably taken his newborn child and formed their hands into a gun.
Okay.
I don't think that's anything,
No, I don't either. I just was curious if you had done that. I mean, that was the first time I'd heard that that liner. I think it's a new one. And I think it's cool. I think it's good. I think it's the appropriate thing to do. Make sure that you
got to teach them early.
Absolutely. I know that the care factor is limited given their season, but man, I'm bummed. I just saw another Lady Raider going into the portal for women's basketball, and this one stings for me because I really like her. I think she's a really good player, but Kyla Freelon apparently is in the portal too now, Jamie. So that's another one.
Yeah.
So that's a 30-year team now. The two seniors that you're losing, plus Shavers and Freelon and Logan Johnson, who's going to go to West Virginia, and Ivana Krina, who didn't play really at all. I mean, maybe literally a handful of games, maybe not even a handful of games. So that's this morning's.
Yeah, you hate losing the ones that have been around for a while, right?
Yeah.
Come here as freshmen, and you're hoping to reap the benefits of the experience and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. No matter what the sport is. I mean, you want to, what do we always like to say about some of these guys that play? Hey, would want to grow old with you, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that sucks is you're not getting that opportunity. Well, and there's plenty that aren't. I mean, and I was thinking about this, and then, of course, it'd probably be met with an immediate court case, and but at some point in time, somebody's got to have a backbone, whether it's schools or the NBA or the NBA, NCAA, or just some chancellor or president or athletic director. At some point in time, somebody's got to stand up and say, no, we've got to put an end to this. And I know that they're trying, but it seems like every time somebody threatens to sue somebody, it's like, oh, my God, well, we'll just back down and give them what they want, back up the truck, beep, 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 and unload the money. But here's my thought. What would you think about some kind of rule, and again, it goes back to the transfer rule, which has been all blown up, that you can only play at 2 different schools or 3 different schools.
Only 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Instead of 4?
Or 5, yeah.
I mean, it's really not a difference to me.
Well,
the difference.
One of the guys we're getting, will be his third school, and Pop Isaacs, who's going to Houston, that'll be his.
Man, that is the craziest thing. That just does not feel like the right fit.
No.
Hope that goes poorly.
Me too. I hope it goes really poorly. And I was wrong about his injury. I think I said he had an Achilles injury. It was a hip injury. But still, it was an injury. He had surgery on it. But when I think about Houston and their style of play and what we saw from them, and then I think about what we saw here with Pop, and those two dots aren't connecting.
Yeah, no.
No,
it's volume shooter and not a great defender.
Yeah, it's like the guys that that did the railroad across the country. They get to that point where they put in the golden spike. I feel like the golden spike would be here, and the other track would be like 50 yards off. We're supposed to be over here, Joe. Scooch it over here just a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be cool. Would have been cool to have been there when that would have been a big handshaking kind of opportunity. When they, I think was it called Promontory Point? It's something like that.
Not sure.
No, I'm trying to get our 1%er here. Where they put the railroad together. Jeff's efforting them. Let's see. This from the Yates Flowing. So with all the portal moves, what does that tell you about the state of the women's program? There needs to be a coaching and culture change. I think there's going to be some changes. Obviously, there's going to be a change in some player movement and things like that. So
you have to be a little bit careful about that, because sometimes, the situation, it's just they want to go somewhere where they can play more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always, but I would say in this situation, it's not about the playing time for Kyla Freelon. It wasn't for Jazz Shavers. You assume it's, I want to go somewhere where I'm going to have a better chance to win, right now kind of a deal.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what the culture is, so that's, hard for me to judge all of that. But you can't just lay a blanket statement and say every time it's about the culture, because there's been plenty of times where it's been good for players, but they just choose to go elsewhere for playing time.
Yeah, and Logan was getting quite a bit of playing time. And there were some times early on and at certain points of the season I was thinking that I was curious about Kyla's playing time, and then she got quite a bit as the season progressed. And same thing with Logan Johnson. And Jazz Shavers started, I want to say 35 of the 37 off the top of my head, and a couple of those were coaching decisions of not starting her.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Here on the Morning Drive, time for this day in sports history. Today is Thursday, April the 10th, 2025. Here's Jeff McGuire.
Starting us off in 1913, good day for Jamie Lent. The New York Highlanders play their first Major League Baseball game as the New York Yankees.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Now, they lost to the Washington Senators 2-1 at Griffin Stadium, but President Woodrow Wilson threw out the first ball.
Probably walked a bunch of people.
And I believe
runners in scoring position.
Well, that's 2-1, Jamie.
See, there you go.
2-1. It's a pretty good ball game.
Was Woodrow Wilson or was it William Howard Taft that was the first to throw out a pitch? I think it was Taft.
Don't know. Off the top of my head.
Woodrow Wilson is, my high school history teacher would tell you, the only former U.S. history teacher to become president of the United States. And he's a high school name for him in the Dallas area.
Mm-hmm. What's up with your high school teacher not being, turning into a president?
I don't know. He's the one that came up with the conversation starters for the weekend parties. So
now we know why he wasn't president.
Thank him for that.
Okay.
You can credit him for that, right?
No, I want to thank you.
1947, Jackie Robinson becomes the first black player of the 20th century to sign a Major League Baseball contract. Brooklyn GM Branch Rickey announces the Dodgers had bought Robinson's contract from the Montreal Royals.
Was there one in the 19th century?
There was.
There was.
In like 1887 or something.
Okay.
We talked about it about a month ago, I think.
Seems somewhat familiar, yeah.
1962, Houston Colt 45s make their Major League debut with an 11-2 win over the Chicago Cubs at Colt Stadium. Outfielder Roman Mejas hits a pair of 3-run home runs.
Woohoo! Couple of Jimmy Jacks.
Not then, and not for the Astros. 1979, J.R. Richard of the Houston Astros, Richard of the Houston Astros, pitches a complete game, but sets a Major League Baseball record by throwing 6 wild pitches in a 2-1 win over the Dodgers at the Astrodome.
I think I remember you telling us that story last year.
It's one of those things that jumps out to me.
It's impressive.
And in 2022, the number 4 Texas Tech Red Raider baseball team rallied, scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the ninth to defeat Kansas State 7-6 at Rip Griffin Park. Sophomore sensation Jace Young provided the walk-off home run to seal the comeback bid that clinched Texas Tech's first Big 12 series sweep since 2019. Might want to keep an eye on that.
How's he doing in the minors? Do we know?
I haven't actually looked to see how the Tigers minor league affiliates are doing. He was not hitting in spring training,
right?
Which is why he did not make the club.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I have not heard anything about how he was doing.
It is National Cinnamon Crescent Day. So like the crescent rolls, but with like cinnamon sugar in them.
Crescent or croissant? Crescent
rolls. The roll things that have the little curve on them. Yeah. But take one of those and put cinnamon sugar in it.
I've never tried it before, but I can't imagine that would be bad.
It's one of those things that I like. I like all of these words. Yeah. Yes, I think I will try this. Happy birthday, Mandy Moore is 41. David Halber is 40. Daisy Ridley, 33. Steven Seagal, 73. Haley Joel Osment is 37. I wonder if he's still seeing dead people. And Ken Griffey Sr. is 75.
I knew like 2 of those people on that list.
I'm going to guess it was Steven Seagal and Ken Griffey Sr.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you with me on that, Jamie?
What are the other names?
Mandy Moore.
I've heard of her. That's
pop singer.
Singer, actress, and Andy Roddick's former girlfriend.
Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley, no clue.
No.
She's the female lead in the new Star Wars movies.
Okay.
Haley Joel Osment, I See Dead People.
Haley Joel, she's Billy Joel's daughter. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
The little boy that saw dead people in... Oh, God, I'm blanking on it.
I'm really impressed that you knew that Billy Joel had a daughter.
I have no idea that she has a daughter. Okay. I just was totally making that up, dude.
1970. Mm-hmm. When promoting the release of his forthcoming solo album...
Go ahead.
Paul McCartney announces that he is taking a break from the Beatles, legendary rock band that he had been a part of for decades. It wasn't that much of a surprise. All of the Beatles had been working in different parts of their own personal lives for a while. And it had been even longer since they had been working in a studio together. But in the spring of 70, there was little more than a tangled set of business relationships keeping the group together. Each of the Beatles was pursuing musical interest outside of the band, and there were no plans in place to record together again as a group.
Is this the old Paul is Dead stuff coming out pretty soon?
That was the playing a Beatles record backwards.
Yes,
this
I know
was
that.
The beginning of the end of the actual contract that kept the Beatles together.
Okay.
6 cents. Thank you, chat line. I kept wanting to say signs. I knew it wasn't signs. When the kid sees dead people in the whole time. You guys haven't seen The Sixth Sense? I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it. Really good movie.
You could give it away and it wouldn't matter to me.
No, this one sticks. And that is this day in sports history.
I mean, it could pop up on my Netflix, movies that you might enjoy, which I doubt. Maybe on The Lucky Ladies, but not on mine.
Oh, it's a good movie. It is. The Sixth Sense is a really good movie.
I'll just take your word for it. Thank you. Mm-hmm. William Howard Taft was the first president, by the way, to throw out the first pitch of a baseball season. He did that on April the 14th of 1910. Okay. So there you go. So he was he was one that did that right away. All right, somebody says Bruce Willis film. Okay. The real life Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn, J.R. Richard.
Yeah.
I mean, J.R. Richard could smoke it, but he was a starting pitcher. He was a misunderstood guy too. And for that, there's regret on the Astro side and fans as well. Promontory Point, thank you, is what I was trying to think of. And Promontory Point, Jamie, is in Utah. You'd probably like this place. It's a summit, and it marks the site where the first transcontinental railroad was completed on May the 10th, 1869, from Omaha to Sacramento.
Cool.
Okay. But it was not from the Missouri River to the Pacific, as was called for by the Pacific Railroad Act of 1862. There was a gold spike, and it has now been donated to the Leland Stanford Junior University. So it's in Stanford, I guess. It's in the Stanford University Museum. I guess that's the guy's original name, probably, that founded Stanford. So it's in the golden spike is in the Stanford University Museum. That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, there you go. So that you don't see those things anymore. Golden spikes and stuff like that.
Nope.
We've got. I guess we have enough railroad track and things like that. We don't need anything more. You see bridges being built and stuff like that, but nothing really too fancy.
Not a lot of railroads.
6:53 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Masters begins today. Mm-hmm. Is that something you'll follow along, or you just have some casual interest in, or
casual interest to see how Ludwig's doing, but beyond that, no, it's not.
Okay. Here's a Paul McCartney song that he did right after this. This was popular in my 7th grade year, Band on the Run. This is a great song. You ever turn this one up and sing along to it? No.
I don't know, maybe. It's been a while.
Been a while? Okay. 6:54 this morning on the Morning Drive.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
7:15 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Good morning with Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. Here was my other basketball question for you. I should have brought this up yesterday, but I just didn't get to it. The final rankings came out for the top 25 for basketball, and Texas Tech was ranked 8th in the final poll. Okay,
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Which actually, I mean, if we're wanting to just be nitpicky here, I mean, of the Elite 8 teams,
right,
that didn't advance to the Final Four. Really? We're the worst one?
And that's where I was headed with this. That's exactly where I was headed with this.
Where's that coming from?
Yeah, because
I mean, we ultimately should have beat the eventual national champion. We were ahead by 10 with 3 minutes to go or whatever. Yeah, where are they coming with there?
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, so it's hard to argue
the other, I don't know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's hard to argue with Florida, Houston, Duke, and Auburn in your Final Four,
right?
In your top 4. Right. But then my gripe is you've got Tennessee, you've got Alabama, Michigan State, and Texas Tech.
Yeah, I mean those teams are obviously very good too. I don't know. Maybe I'll back off my.
I don't know. 2 of them had more wins than you. You tied with Alabama at 28-9. Tennessee was 30-8, and Michigan State was 30-7, and I kind of feel like that. I kind of feel like that you should have been 6th. I could make a case for Tennessee being ahead of us. I felt like we were better than Alabama. Felt like we were better than Michigan State.
I'm not going to disagree with you. Initially I felt like obviously we were really good and we're good enough to win the national championship. But, yeah, those other teams are good too. So, I mean, you're splitting hairs there, but I think I somewhat agree with you.
But it is kind of cool that you've reached a level with your basketball program where you're like nitpicking about, well, we're just 8th. I think that's pretty cool as well. That hey, we feel like that we got slighted here a little bit. Well, you were eighth in the country. Yeah, we were 8th in the country, and we were right there on the cusp of being in the Final Four. And then who knows what happens? Who knows what happens after that? If you're able to hang on and win, which is. It's going to be one of those ones that kind of sticks in your craw for, a long, long time. Maryland and Michigan were behind you, along with St. John's, Kentucky, BYU, Purdue, and Arizona. So, from the Big 12, you had Houston at 2, Texas Tech at 8, okay? And then you had BYU at 13 and Arizona at 15. So that's 4 in the top 15. Now, the SEC, of course, can say, well, we had Florida, and we had Auburn, and we had Tennessee, and we had Alabama, and I get it, Kentucky, all there in the top 15.
All fair. All fair.
All fair?
All fair.
All fair. Yeah.
All fair.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah, all fair.
They were a great conference this year, no doubt.
And
I didn't want you to talk about the SEC on the air, John.
I was just having a hard time computing.
Yeah, all fair. Sorry.
I mean,
wasn't enunciating very well.
I feel like probably most people would say, really, you feel this way today? I don't. Sometimes there's a part of me doesn't really feel like I'm all here today. Okay.
Where is the rest of you?
I don't know. And it's like, why would I say that about today versus most any other day? Right. Well, and somebody says, didn't Bama get blown out by Houston? Right. And we were, prior to the national championship game, we were Houston's last loss. So,
yeah.
You
could definitely make a case for us being higher than 8. That's for certain.
So that was just a thought there. Not that we get into the NBA a whole lot, but we talked about it a little bit yesterday. But Luka Doncic put on quite the performance last night, Jamie.
Did he? Yeah,
he had 45 points for the Lakers. They won over the Mavericks 112-97.
Okay.
But
not surprised?
No, not
the Mavs in their banged up state right now.
Yeah, Mavs are 38-42. Lakes are 49-31 on the season. LeBron had 27, but Luka, he led them with 45. 7 of 10 from beyond the arc, 16 of 28 from the field last night. He had just 8 rebounds.
Just?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like he should get more.
Luka?
Yeah.
Maybe he's a point guard.
I know, but I mean,
does he average 8 rebounds a game?
I don't know what he averages.
I don't think he averages 8 rebounds a game. I know he gets a lot of triple doubles, but
yeah, just felt like that. Not that I'm saying he's slacking or anything like that. He played 38 minutes, had 45 points. Did have 6 assists.
I wouldn't call it slacking.
No. I'm not saying he's slacking. He's slacking at all. But there you go. So, I mean, there were a lot of fire. Nico last night, the Mavericks GM. I wonder how that guy can survive.
Did the owners like him?
Yeah. You would have to think the owners were on board with... Mm-hmm. Again, I just go back to, for the Mavs to make the move that they made, I don't know enough about Nico, but either this was a huge ego trip, like one of Jerry Jones's, everybody else sees things this way, I'm going to show that I'm smarter than everybody else kind of moment, or they were, on their last, straw there with Luka, and feeling like we can't get through to this guy. He won't put the effort in that we want him to. And as far as getting himself in shape so he can stay healthy and he can be on the court for us, it's just, I don't know, it's just a weird situation. But you're right. I have a hard time thinking that unless this team does something good in the next couple of years, that Harrison's going to lose his job.
I think the other thing too
and
is
he's going to be always remembered for being the guy that traded Luka.
Yeah, I think he is going to, until he wins it, unless he wins an NBA championship with this group as a result of the Luka trade, he'll be remembered as the guy that traded Luka.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing about Luka is just kind of seems like perception is there wasn't really anybody in Dallas that would or could hold him accountable, and I'm talking about within the other players. There wasn't anybody else that was as big or bigger than him that could say, hey, man, you need to get yourself in shape. You need to do this. You need to do that. There wasn't any veteran leadership there.
You would have thought Dirk would have been able to do that within the organization and the respect he had for Dirk, all that.
Yeah, but I mean,
wouldn't you love to know his thoughts on the trade?
Would also love to know if Dirk if that was a role that he was even comfortable with doing. He might say, man, I haven't played for the team for a number of years. I don't have the relationship. I don't have the, quote, voice in the locker room anymore like I used to.
I think he definitely has the relationship with Luka, and I definitely think that those guys respected him.
Okay. But I just wonder if...
You would think they would, right?
I just wonder if he's more willing to listen to a guy like LeBron, who's still playing, than somebody that was on the Mavericks roster.
Well, maybe.
That's kind of where I was going there.
Well, I feel like the whole thing was a wake-up call for Luka, mm-hmm. and I bet you we'll see him get himself into better shape.
Yeah, he'll thrive as a result of this.
Yeah.
And then the Lakers will say, see, we told you. See, we told you. See, we told you. Somebody asked if I'd seen the tribute video the Mavs played for Luka last night. Nope, I didn't. Then they go on to say, I've never seen anything more tone deaf to a situation. Oh, okay. It's always good when people are tone deaf to a situation. Kind of
big fan.
makes it crazy awkward, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jamie's question of the day is next.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
I'm so confused.
What are you confused about?
I mean, why are we laughing that they signed somebody that's 25? Why is that funny?
Because they called him a veteran. I just thought that was funny.
Okay.
Would you prefer they call him a rookie?
Well, I mean,
those are the two stages of an NFL player.
It's not like he's grizzled or anything.
They didn't say grizzled veteran. They just said veteran.
Yeah.
As in not rookie.
And then I guess the other part is just why are we throwing babies in the air?
To celebrate. I was just being facetious there on that.
Oh. See, if you'd have told us that to begin with, we could have got the laugh track ready.
Gotcha.
All right. Sorry.
It's all right.
All right. So today's question of the day involves Red Raider football, and it involves our new transfer portal class.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big one. An impressive one. The number one in the country.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My question for you guys today, there's two questions.
Oh, man.
2 questions. 2 answers.
Okay.
Okay. Who do you think will have the biggest impact in the transfer portal class? Mm-hmm. And who do you think Texas Tech needs to have the biggest impact?
Mm-hmm. Well, and it could be the same person, right?
Could be.
I mean, this guy they just got from Stanford, they seem to be really high on him. And we've talked all along about putting pressure on the quarterback, right? Making the quarterback uncomfortable from a defensive standpoint, because God knows defenses have done that to us.
David Bailey, by the way.
I know, right? Okay, yeah. I was trying to think if I want to go with him or, I mean, you laugh at this, but even you brought him up the other day.
No, I'm not going to laugh at it because I was thinking about answering it.
The
new kicker, Upton Belafonte.
Right.
I mean, you have a kicker spot open. You need him to come in and be good.
Especially when last year Gino Garcia was 19 of 20 on field goals, and we've seen this offense stall at times.
Well, every offense does. You just want to be able to make simple kicks.
Okay. Well, he was 19 of 20. And Mr. Belafonte, at his previous school, Buffalo, was 18 of 21. I mean, you can say, well, it's Buffalo. I get it, but I mean, they still play on a 100-yard field. Okay? Still have the...
Yeah, I don't think anybody's criticizing him. I mean, like you said, kicking is pretty much about you, not about the defense you're playing against.
Right. His longest was 52. I'm going to say... Okay, the question was, who do they need and who will, right?
Who do you think will make the biggest impact, and who does Texas Tech need to make the biggest impact?
Yeah, I'm going to say David Bailey. Both answers.
Okay.
I want him to put pressure on the quarterback, and I want him to make big plays for you and disruptions and hurries and sacks and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so who do I think will make the biggest impact? I think that's going to be Anthony Holmes, the guy, defensive lineman from Houston. He knows the new defense. He knows what to expect from the new defensive coordinator. He can help coach the guys on the defensive line for what to expect and what they're going for. So I think he will have the biggest impact. Hunter Zambrano needs to have the biggest impact. This is an offensive lineman who has given up 7 sacks and 876 possible chances at pass blocking. 7 out of 874. These are really good numbers that we need to see more of this season for the Red Raider football team.
Okay, that's interesting. You picked him over Sampson. Howard Sampson, 6'8", 325er.
It was a coin flip.
Big dude.
You said 2 answers, not 3.
Yeah. I really don't think, Jeff, in my opinion, that pass blocking is our problem. And I know you've been able to run the ball well, but, in short yardage situations, you haven't been great. I think pass blocking has been better than run blocking most of the time. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think the run blocking.
Different times felt different ways. But, okay, all good answers. I think you can flip a coin between... David Bailey and Romello Height. Height is the rush end from Georgia Tech. I think you need one of those guys to hit on them. So that's the guy I think you need the most to hit on. I think the guy that is going to make the biggest impact, that it actually is going to make the impact, is the wide receiver Reggie Virgil. I just think he's going to come in and immediately be in your starting lineup and starting rotation at the wide receiver position, and I think you're going to see him, be one of those guys that, I know you've got a group of 3 or 4 good ones that will rotate through, but I just think Virgil's with what we saw from him in his previous school and what he brings to the table. I think he's got the opportunity to be a big time player for you.
That'd be nice. I mean. Let me give you some numbers on Reggie Virgil. 6'4", 190 from Florida. Played previously at Miami of Ohio. Had 41 receptions, 816 yards, 9 touchdowns. Caught at least 1 touchdown pass in 7 of his last 8. This is from TexasTech.com. Had 3 100-yard games last year. Was All-MAC second team honors after leading the conference with an average of almost 20 yards a catch. He also tied for 3rd in the conference for touchdown receptions and 9th in receiving yards. Okay. With regard to Zambrano, he was credited for 1,637 offensive snaps at Illinois State. And as Jeff said, giving up only 7 sacks over 874 pass blocking opportunities. Was an All-American. Only played 2 games this past year because of an injury. So think about how many snaps he played, and then the fact that he only played 2 games this past year. He arrives at Tech with 25 starts, all at left tackle. Man, you could use a guy to protect, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, good question. If you have a thought on that, hit us up. Yates Flooring Center chat line, Visual Edge IT hotline. That number is 806-771-0973. Good morning.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
The Morning Drive. Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Great to have you with us today, this morning, here on the Morning Drive. Take your thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that. Or the mobile app, the Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. You know, I'm really glad the Masters is this weekend and not next, so it doesn't mess with Easter. Doesn't mess with Easter dinner or anything like that. You know, so you can have it just kind of, you know,
You know you can turn the television off, right? You don't, just because something's on doesn't mean you have to watch it.
No, I know that. It's just, but there's things that I like to watch, and things that I like to do, and you know, watching, you know, Sunday afternoon at the Masters. I mean, it's just like, man, it's tradition unlike any other. I mean, it's like, you know, sit down and watch a little bit, maybe take a little, I don't know, I don't want to take a nap once they make the turn. Man, it's like every hole. It's like, you know, the shot.
An indictment on your commitment level, right?
To what?
I really love that sport because I can nap during it.
No. It's like once they make
I used to say the same thing to my dad and brother about NASCAR.
Once they make the turn, you know. And I think that's the thing that is so good about the Masters is if you've watched it for, you know, just a handful of years, you know where the ball needs to go. Like, you know, on this hole, you know, hey, if you're gonna make a run, you got to do it here during AMN corner. If you're gonna, you got to hit the ball just to the left of the sand trap here. You've got to be right of this, or you got to worry about the undulating green here on this hole or whatever.
What's going on with the green?
Undulating.
Undulating?
Yeah, undulating. Isn't that the word?
Undulate,
right, that too. You know what I'm talking about. You know, it's got to hit it on the top, or, you know, you can't, the ball's it's always going to break to the creek, you know, Ray's Creek right there, you know. And I'm sad that Ike's tree isn't there anymore on 17, you know, when Ben Wright would always say, we'll go to, and, you know, they'd say, we'll go to 17. And Ben Wright would say, they're about halfway down the Eisenhower tree, named for the former president, because Ike wanted it torn down. He wanted it because he always hit it. When he was playing at Augusta, he would always hit it. So he wanted it torn down, and or cut down, and they refused to do that.
Tear down this tree,
Mr. Eisenhower. Paul says this: if Chuck ever goes to the Master, we'd never hear the end of it, which is awesome. There's a lot of walking. You would like the Masters, Jamie, because it's
beautiful. It's outdoors.
It is.
And
a lot of hills.
Yeah. I would enjoy going to the Masters once. Yes. I wouldn't want to go every year. But
no, I think I
would definitely love to.
It'd be one of those things you want to go once. And then the question becomes is, you know, is when you look at it from the standpoint of the hills and stuff like that, it's deceiving. It's deceiving.
It's deceiving.
Deceivingly flat.
Okay.
Deceivingly flat. So anyway, this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Ben Crenshaw looks older than Gary Player. Yeah, Gary Player is 89 years old. This person points out 89, and he's still fit as a fiddle. Fit as a fiddle. And this is apparently his 67th Masters.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's cool. I think that it's neat that those guys get out there and the fans can see them. right? And, cheer for them and all that kind of stuff. I agree with your point that sometimes, guys get too old. You hate to see them, not look good or whatever. But I think for golf fans, it's really cool to get to see those old heroes.
Yes. Yeah. No. We get this. I've been fortunate to go to the Masters twice, and it's always amazing, beautiful scenery, and it is a great walk. That from the home finder. Okay. Yeah, I've heard that.
Looks amazing.
I heard Brady Quinn talking about it this morning on Double T 97.3 on Two Pros and a Cup of Joe, and he's like, it's the most beautiful thing ever, and you never see anything out of place. I felt that way about Disney World the first time we went there. I was like, man, this place is clean. I was just like, everything was where it was supposed to be. The flowers were beautiful, and the pavement was nice and like you could eat off of it and stuff like that, even though people have been tromping around on it. Okay.
Seems like a questionable decision.
Yeah. To eat off of it. Oh, if something drops on the floor, or do you like completely out, or do you pick it up and eat it? If I was anywhere, like a
walkway in Disney World, it would be no.
Okay. What about
I would pick it up and throw it away, but I'm not eating.
What about like in here? Like if you had a chicken wing and you had it in your hand and you just accidentally fell
over here by where I stand, I probably would pick it up real quick and
eat it.
Get after it. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody wants to know what makes a fiddle fit. I don't know. Somebody else. Golf talk with Chuck Heinz. I heard. Was it you and Choice that were talking about it? Maybe it was Choice and Rob, or Choice and Josh that were talking about. Apparently there was a minor league game that Choice was listening to, where the guys, they did an inning like they were golf announcers.
Fun.
Yeah. Here's Jamie Lent. He's batting 3 for 5. Chance to get the winning run in.
I think you two would have a hard time being golf announcers, right?
Who, me?
You and Jeff.
Me and Jeff? Oh, I don't know. I think I could do it.
Yes. I don't know enough about the sport in order to do it correctly. And two, yes, I'm a loud person.
I know that I'm loud. But,
see, as Chuck was talking about all those things that the Masters has, I'm like, and these are what?
Yeah.
Chuck at least knows the terminology. I got no clue.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with the chicken salad sandwich, though, or the egg salad sandwich. That sounds disgusting to me. You'd probably like the egg salad, wouldn't you?
I do not like egg salad.
You don't? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.